What's up, guys? We are back with a big Friday of college football picks for Friday, October 4th. Week 5 of NCAA football went great. We went 5-2 overall, a very solid week there. Our premium picks did even better, guys. That dude is on a sick run. Last week, guys, we had Kansas State -5. That one came through. Wake Forest -3.5. That was a loss. That was a tough one. Wake Forest just dug themselves too big of a hole early in that game. We were also on TCU at +2.5. That one came through for us. A solid win there. On that absolutely insane Georgia, Alabama, guys. We were on the right side. We had Alabama +2.5, but we thought it was going to be a close, low-scoring game. Kind of the opposite there. We were on the under, but getting Alabama at +2.5 was our main play. Now, when it came through, we also had Illinois at +18. That was a good one. It looked like too many points, and it turned out to be the case. And we also had SMU at -6.5 to close the day out with a win. So very good stuff there. Let's see if we can back that up in this one, guys. We have a great video for you today covering all 4 games and giving you my best leans on the side and the over-under for each game. Unfortunately, we have no other sports going on today, so these 4 are going to be the only 4 that you get from me on this one. If you want to win all of your bets here in week 6, hit that like button. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the hard work we are putting in every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the value of the early lines. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate the support from all of you guys. Seeing that badge next to your comments absolutely warms my heart. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, the NFL, and guys, they are dropping the puck on the new NHL season here on Sunday. NCAA football has been one of our most profitable sports over the years, and we have a seasoned expert capper over there at Stump the Spread that has been killing it so far this year, going 20-8 over the last 3 weeks. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up, and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. The email list is also where we will keep you updated on our $100 to $10,000 challenge. We've got new bets in that challenge going on this weekend. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got Jacksonville State going on the road to take on Kennesaw State. Jacksonville State hasn't exactly had the best start to their season, guys. They started things off 0-3, obviously getting blown out by then number 22 Louisville, kind of expected, but those other losses, not so great. That 37-34 loss at EMU, not the best look either, but they did get on the right track there last week. They come away with a 44-7 win there over Southern Miss. So yeah, not exactly the toughest opponent, but they did find a way to get a dominant win there. So positive things coming into this one for Jacksonville State at least. But yeah, guys, not necessarily a team that I'm super duper high on. I mean, we saw Tyler Huff look okay. I mean, he got picked off once. That kind of ruined what would have otherwise looked like a very good day against Southern Miss. Completing 14 of 16 passes, definitely impressive. 236 yards, that's kind of whatever, but yeah, getting picked off once, not the best look. Definitely got to be limiting those turnovers, although, guys, doesn't matter that much in a game. Your team eventually wins 44-7. In the running game, Trey Stewart looked good. I mean, 16 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is a team that's definitely going to be trying to run the ball. We did see Huff run the ball very well himself. Definitely a mobile quarterback out there, and Lewis, he looked good as well. This is a squad that is going to want to establish the run early and often. They had 5 rushing touchdowns last week. Do I think they're going to make it anywhere close to 5 rushing touchdowns in this one? Probably not. That's kind of crazy. I don't think they're going to make it to 273 rushing yards either, but overall, guys, this squad definitely one that's going to want to focus here on the running game. And yeah, they've got some decent receivers, but nobody that's going to soak up a ton of targets, you know, considering the fact that this is a team that's going to maybe want to run the ball a lot more than they're going to want to pass it. And guys, looking at this defense, obviously last week, a fantastic job. 4 interceptions in the game, a total of 6 turnovers. So absolutely, you know, like elite stuff there, but not against a very good opponent. And the week before that, playing on the road, which they're going to be on the road for this one, going up against Eastern Michigan, it was quite a different story here, guys. They generated 0 interceptions in that game, 0 turnovers completely, just not the same. They couldn't stop the passing game at all. They couldn't stop the run at all. And yeah, the offense tried to keep pace, but man, losing that game in double overtime, 37-34, probably didn't feel that great. And Jacksonville State has had other problems this season, especially playing on the road. Obviously, going up against Louisville a huge difference there in talent level. I don't expect them to keep this game super close, but 14-49, not very close at all. And in that game, they had no answer for the pass, no answer for the run. This is a Jacksonville State defense that I don't really have a ton of confidence in right now. I mean, they have room to improve, no doubt about it. Will they do that here? I mean, they're facing a opponent that should be about the same level, generally speaking. Are they going to be able to really take advantage? I don't know, guys. Not really loving what I'm seeing from that defense, with the exception of last week. So we'll see if they can bounce back here as they go on the road to take on Kennesaw State. The Owls still looking for their first win of the season, guys. It's been very rough sledding for them. Hasn't been the toughest schedule. Hasn't been the easiest schedule. I mean, losing in a close game against USTA, playing on the road there in week 1. Not a great look. Losing to UL Louisiana there in week 2. Not the worst look out there. I mean, a 34-10 loss never is going to feel great, but that's a pretty decent team. Losing 31-10 at San Jose State, that's not the best look either. Last week they did keep things pretty competitive there against UT Martin, so that's maybe a step in the right direction. We saw Kennesaw State. I mean, their passing game didn't look amazing. Bryson not having a great time. Getting picked off twice is not an amazing look. The running game didn't get too much done either. They just had a really rough time on the offensive side of the ball in terms of, the wide receiver group. It doesn't look amazing. They fumbled the ball twice, but didn't turn it over. Those 2 interceptions, not a great look though. So yeah, a couple turnovers there overall, and couldn't really stop the run either. They did a great job in pass defense, so that's something to take into consideration. Obviously, stopping the run is going to be a bigger deal here against Jacksonville State. So we'll see if they're able to do that. I mean, in their loss against San Jose State, not a team that is really going to be super focused on running the ball, but they did run it 25 times. Kennesaw State allowed only 62 yards on those runs, and they held a couple of guys to negative rushing yards in that one. So definitely something to keep in mind there. I do think Kennesaw State is at least theoretically capable of slowing down the run. Will they be able to do that in this game, guys? We'll have to see, but I do think that should be the main focus here of their defense. If you can stop that running game, you should give yourself a chance here against Jacksonville State. So looking at some trends for this game, guys, Kennesaw State, they're only 1-3 against the spread this season, but they are 3-0 to the under this year. So yeah, the under could end up being something of a reasonable play out there, no doubt about that. They obviously haven't been the best team overall this season, but we've got some more trends that point towards Kennesaw State in this game. I think Vegas is getting a little bit too hyped up here about Jacksonville State since they're coming off of that 44-7 win. Yeah, I mean, they're still a team that didn't look very good through those 3 losses. Jacksonville State is actually 1-5 against the spread over their last 6 games, and the home team, so in that case that would be Kennesaw State, is 3-0 against the spread in Jacksonville State's last 3 games. So yeah, guys, I know this is going to sound a little bit weird, and I'm not going to lie, this probably isn't my biggest lean on this slate, but I do think taking Kennesaw State, getting plus 16.5, that's a lot of points, playing at home here. I think they can make this game very competitive and have a chance to maybe even push for a win. I'm not advocating taking them straight up, but still, I think they can keep this game competitive here against a Jacksonville State Gamecocks, a team that is being overvalued. In terms of the over-under, definitely want to go with that little trend there of Kennesaw State being 4-0 to the under. And when you're taking a big underdog, you definitely want to be leaning towards that under most of the time. So I do think we could see this be a relatively low scoring game with both teams, at least wanting to run the ball. We'll see how that goes, but neither offense is looking super dynamic to me. Give me the under 49 in this spot. Next on the docket, guys, we are looking at the Houston Cougars going on the road to take on the TCU Horned Frogs. Houston comes into this game. They have not had a good season this year. They're 1-4 overall. They haven't scored a point on offense in their last 2 games, but when you look at their opponents, that can kind of be excused a little bit, and I do think this team might be getting a little bit undervalued here, but we'll see. I mean, their game 1, week 1 loss there against UNLV. UNLV has turned into a pretty good team this season, and yeah, losing to them 27-7, not the best look, but hey, you got on the board. In week 2, definitely Houston's best game of the season, guys. They played a nail biter there against then number 15 Oklahoma. They eventually lost 16-12, but man, Houston gave Oklahoma everything they could handle. This Houston defense looked pretty good. We saw Donovan Smith look great passing the ball. He did get picked off once, a big mistake there, no doubt about it, but he completed 24 of 28 passes for 260 yards. The Houston rushing game couldn't really get going, but there's a pretty significant talent gap there between them and a team like Oklahoma. But really, guys, very impressed they were able to limit Oklahoma both through the the air and on the ground. So that was a very, very good showing there from Houston. Things haven't maybe looked amazing since. I mean, they did get their one win, a 33-7 win over Rice. Not really the toughest opponent there, but the last couple of weeks have really been a struggle, unable to produce any offense, but they did hold number 18 Iowa to only 20 points last week, and that's a pretty good look. Not going to lie, we did see the offense continue to struggle. Both starting quarterbacks got picked off there, so that's not a great look. And yeah, if you're going to turn the ball over 3 total times in a game, it's going to be really hard for you to even get on the board, but the running game for Houston looked very, very good despite going up against an elite opponent. 30 carries, 171 yards. That is elite stuff out there. Stacey Sneed looking like a monster in that game. So I do think there's reason here for optimism on Houston. I know they haven't had a great time this season, obviously, but they're not a horrible running team. They're a very good defensive team, only allowing 20.8 points per game. I would say that is downright impressive. Yeah, a Big 12 life for Houston might not be that easy in football. I mean, they didn't have a good time at Cincinnati. I'm not going to completely gloss over that game. They did not really do too well in that one. Plenty of room for improvement for this team, don't get me wrong. But if you can run the ball, if you can play some defense, you should put yourself in a position to have a chance in most games. And being able to control the time of possession and stuff like that in college football can be a big, big deal. So looking at overall here, what do we think of Houston? I don't think they're quite as bad as some people are saying. And they're going on the road to take on TCU in this one, a team that has had some extremely mixed results this season. It's been all over the place. First couple of weeks, I mean, getting that week 1 win there at Stanford in a very close 1-score game. Very good. They got the win. Congratulations. A cupcake win, 45-0 in the next week. But then they lost against UCF, 35-34. A really, really tough loss there for TCU. I mean, what are you going to do? You play 1-point games, you're going to occasionally come out on the wrong side of those games. And it was really, really close down the stretch. They did get outscored 15-3 there in the fourth quarter, so that's not a great look. TCU continues to look like a great offensive team that really only wants to throw the ball. They love throwing the ball, guys. They are going to get after it. I mean, in that loss against UCF, we saw Hoover pass 52 times. Like, this is a team that's going to get after it through the air, and that's what they tried to do at SMU, but their defense, their complete and total lack of defense really screwed them there. They gave up 66 points in that game, losing 66-42 at SMU. Not a great look, and they finally, got back in the win column there, playing at Kansas last week, a 38-27 win, so that's pretty nice. We were on TCU in that game, if I remember correctly, and yeah, good stuff there from the Horned Frogs, no doubt about it. Their defense played a little bit better, giving up only 27 points. Not to really much of an offense, though. I mean, that Kansas offense, not very good, but TCU's offense continued to hum along. Josh Hoover did get picked off twice in that game, and if you're going to ask a college quarterback to throw the ball like 40 times every game, you're eventually going to run into some problems. They did manage to run the ball very effectively there against Kansas, which is definitely, a positive there, no doubt about it, but man, I mean, they turned the ball over 3 times in that game, and even if you run the ball well, if you've got a bad defense and you're going to turn the ball over, you are going to play some close games. Best case scenario. A lot of the time, feels like you might come out on the losing end. And yeah, TCU's defense, that's been their problem this year. I mean, they're giving up a ton of points. They are allowing 31 points per game, and that's even with a shutout mixed in there against that cupcake opponent. You take that out, those numbers absolutely skyrocket, guys. If you take out that shutout, they are giving up well over 38 points per game. So yeah, not necessarily a defense that we are very excited about, guys. And looking at the numbers and the trends for this one, we see the Cougars, they are 16.5-point underdogs in this game. We've got an over-under of 51 floating around out there. Houston, they are 2-3 against the spread this year, 5-0 to the under. TCU is 1-4 against the spread and 4-1 this season to the over. Guys, I'm leaning a bit here towards Houston and the points. Their offense has been really not amazing, but their defense is good enough to keep them in these games. And also, Houston smashed the cover for me when we had them, in that premium pick against Rice. They nearly beat Oklahoma on the road like we were talking about earlier in the season. So I think they've got what it takes to at least make this game competitive. Do I think they're going to win it straight up as 16.5-point underdogs? No, I do not. But I do think they're going to find a way to keep this game very, very close. They're going to force TCU into some turnovers and stuff like that. And that is a very good recipe to keep yourself in a very close game here. So definitely give me the Cougars and the points as the side in this one. In terms of the over-under here, guys, we had an over-under of 51. 1, which maybe even seems like a bit of a small number here in, a TCU game, but I really think we're going to see offense be at a bit of a premium in this one with, the Houston defense being very, very good. Give me a slight lean here towards the under. I think the over is going to be the public side, and fading the public money, never a bad thing, but my main play on this game, definitely going to be the Cougars and the points. Not super duper interested in this over under. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. First of all, this is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering MLB, NCAA Football, UFC, and the NFL. If you just want to test out the service, a great way to do that is by joining our free email list, which will get you the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Just to clarify some of the questions we've been getting, I'm not the NCAA Football capper for stumpthespread.com. These YouTube picks are obviously free to everyone and are just what I'm seeing out there. We have an expert with nearly 15 years of experience that covers NCAA football, and the research he puts in keeping track of all of these teams is actually wild. His in-depth knowledge has made college football one of our most profitable sports, bringing tons of value to our premium members. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new, and become a channel member for early access to all of our NCAA football and NFL videos. Now, guys, back to the games. Next on the slate, guys, we've got the Michigan State Spartans going on the road to take on the number 6 Oregon Ducks. This is probably the premier game of the night, either that or the Syracuse UNLV game that we're going to break down next. But yeah, guys, Michigan State comes into this one fresh off of a tough loss there against number 3 Ohio State. Yeah, losing that one 38-7 against kind of a rival probably doesn't feel very good, especially after losing a heartbreaker in the week before that, 23-19 at Boston College, a game where Michigan State definitely had their chances. They got their season off to a good start, albeit not against the toughest opponents, but a narrow win over FAU, a very narrow win there at Maryland, and then a blowout win in a cupcake game. So yeah, got to give them credit for those first couple of wins. Playing well in tight games in football is not very easy. The Spartans team has done some positive stuff. I mean, in that win over Maryland, a team that looked, a little bit spunky there right out of the gate. We saw Michigan State's passing game look good. 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, not the most amazing day, but not terrible. You got to limit those interceptions. You got to limit those turnovers. The running game for Michigan State also looked very, very good in that one. Carter looked good. Lynch Adams looked good in that one. Like, this is a team that's going to be focused on running the ball at least a good amount, and they are very capable of moving it on the ground. I mean, obviously combining for 3 total turnovers in the game, that is a big problem, especially if you're only going to force one of your own. But they found a way to come out with a 3-point win in that game against Maryland. Some very solid stuff there from Michigan State. In terms of their more recent history, guys, last week against Ohio State, maybe not the most fun experience there to lose 38-7, but kind of predictable there. We saw mediocre quarterback play from Michigan State going up against an elite defense. The running game couldn't really get going, which is also pretty predictable given, the huge skill gap they were dealing with there, the huge talent gap, I should say. Maybe skill is a little bit harsh, but the huge talent gap that they're dealing with. And yeah, none of the wide receivers really went crazy. And the defense, I mean, the defense did generate a turnover, so that's something positive. And they tried to limit the Ohio State passing game. I would say they kind of limited it, but this is not really a not really a team that I've been able to get super excited about in terms of like long-term, competition here this season. But they've done some decent things out there. Don't get me wrong. I don't think this is any sort of, like disaster situation here for Michigan State. I mean, this season, I think they would just settle for getting a few wins here. I mean, they're 61st in passing yards. They're tied for 39th in points against this year. So there's definitely some positives out there for the defense on this team, no doubt about it. So after that loss against Ohio State, they've got to go on the road and face another tough opponent. They are taking on the Oregon Ducks, who are 4-0 on the year. I'm not going to say they've had the toughest way to go this year. I mean, wins over Idaho, Boise State, Oregon State, and UCLA, yeah, probably not going to freak out too much. Last week against UCLA, we did see some good stuff. That 37-34 win over Boise State, probably their most impressive win of the season, I would say. It was a very, very close game. They really struggled to stop Genty out there, but everybody does. This Oregon team, very, very offensive-minded. I mean, 37 points in that game. We saw Gabriel pass for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. He completed 18 of 21 passes, so a dazzling performance from him. We also saw Jordan James look very good in the running game, and just up and down the roster, very good things to report from this offense, except for the turnovers, guys. We saw Gabriel turn it over once. We saw Patrick Herbert turn it over once, both via fumbles. Gotta work on some ball security there. You fumble the ball away, you lose the ball, you turn the ball over in college football or football in general. that is a recipe for coming away with some really, really tough losses. So we'll see if they're, the ball security can improve here a little bit. I mean, last week at UCLA, obviously not the easiest place to play probably, but Oregon looked very at home, winning 34-13. We saw, good stuff there in the passing game again, although Gabriel did have another interception. 31 of 41 for 278 and 3 touchdowns, though. Kind of makes the sting of that one interception go away a little bit. That was the only turnover that Oregon had, so that ball, that whole ball security issue seems like it's maybe working itself out. We saw Jordan James once again look very, very solid in the running game, over 100 yards rushing on 20 carries. He also found his way into the end zone. This is an Oregon Ducks team that can move the ball through the air and on the ground. A very, very nice combo to have at any level of football. And really, guys, they had to feel good about the defense. Not that UCLA's been the toughest team, really, but yeah, they shut down the passing game, had 2 interceptions in the game, so good stuff there from the Ducks defense, and they shut down the running game as well. Like, this was just a very, very solid day out there from Oregon across the board, so they'll definitely take that, and being 4-0 on the season has to feel absolutely amazing. A very good start to the year. They're about to have some tough tests. They might be in a little bit of a look-ahead spot there. I mean, obviously, they've got, Michigan State this week, but Ohio State next week, so we'll see, if they can come into this game totally focused. They are 20th in the nation in passing yards per game. They are 37th in the nation, allowing 18.8 points per game. This is a team that definitely deserves to be where it's at in the rankings, although they are still a little bit untested. So let's go ahead and look at some numbers for this game specifically. Guys, we've got the Ducks as 23.5 point favorites in this game, so very, very big favorites out there. We have an over-under of 52.5. Michigan State is 1-3-1 against the spread this season. Oregon is 1-3 against the spread this year as well. So not a lot of big trends there to go against, go on against the spread in terms of the total, guys. Michigan State 4-1 to the under this year. Oregon 2-2 over under. Unfortunately, on this game, guys, I can't give you my side against the spread. We have a premium pick on that one up at Stump the Spread, so get over there and check that out if you haven't already. And in terms of the over-under here, I do think there's some value. I'm looking at taking the under for sure. Each of Michigan State's last 7 road games when playing against top 10 opponents have gone under. 52.5 is a very, very big number. I do think Michigan State is not a terrible defensive team. I don't think their offense is great, so I don't think they're going to put up a ton of points themselves. And if they can limit Oregon here a little bit, I do think that under number is certainly worth something of a look. Last but not least, guys, we have the Syracuse Orange going on the road to take on the UNLV Rebels, who are now ranked 25th in the nation. Syracuse comes into this game 3-1 on the season. Not the craziest wins out there, but they do already have one win over a ranked opponent. They beat number 23 Georgia Tech 31-28, so very good stuff there from the Orange, who, didn't necessarily come into this season with super high expectations, but things are looking pretty good. I mean, a week 1 win over Ohio, that week 2 win over Georgia Tech, guys, we have to take a closer look at that one. Definitely one of their best games of the season. Very, very good stuff there. They got the win holding on after establishing an early lead, so that's pretty impressive. We saw Kyle McCord have probably his best game of the season, guys. He completed 32 of 46 passes for 381 yards, 4 touchdowns, and possibly more importantly, 0 interceptions. Syracuse did not turn the ball over in that game. Taking care of the ball has to be absolutely paramount. And yeah, guys, we saw the running game look good. The passing game looked great, but so did the running game, guys. Allen, 83 yards on 15 carries. Nobody even broke off any really crazy long runs. The longest one was Allen with a 24-yard rush, but man, they were just grinding it out, making positive gains every single time they were handed the ball, it felt like. So very, very good stuff from the Syracuse rushing game in that one. And yeah, the wide receivers had a great day out there, but man, Kyle McCord looking like a monster in that win. And yeah, the defense was fine as well. I mean, giving up 28 points, obviously not ideal, but they limited the pass to a good extent. They limited the damage through the running game. They did give up 3 rushing touchdowns, but they only gave up 112 total rushing yards in the whole game, so that's not too bad. And they didn't get, torched by any individual wide receiver, so good stuff there. Unfortunately, they didn't force any turnovers in that game, so that's not great. 1 turnover in that game could have really swung the pendulum a lot, but hey, I'm sure they're not too worried. They did come away with a 31-28 win there over a ranked opponent. They are going to be trying to be running that back here and getting another win over a ranked opponent. They did fall short against Stanford in week 3, guys, losing 26-24, a very, very close nail-biter of a game. Yeah, Syracuse definitely had their chances in that one. one. A game-winning field goal as time expires has to be one of the worst feelings out there, especially when that's happening on your home field and they're carrying the kicker off the field and all that kind of stuff. Definitely seemed like Syracuse took that a bit personally because they really bounced back, albeit in a pretty weak game, against a pretty weak opponent the next week. But yeah, in that loss to Stanford, guys, Kyle McCord got picked off twice. Like I said, you have to limit those turnovers or bad things are going to happen. So we'll see if he can limit the turnovers in this one. I mean, obviously everything looked great going up against Holy Cross last week, so all systems should be go here for Syracuse. I mean, they're putting up the third most passing yards per game in all of college football, so that's a very, very impressive number. Kyle McCord looking like the absolute truth out there, so we'll see if they can keep that going. The defense is a bit of a concern here as they take on the UNLV Rebels, who, hey guys, they found a way to get the win last week, 59-14 against Fresno. I mean, not, that impressive of a win really, but yeah, they're undefeated on the season still. They've played some close games, came out on the right side there in a 3-point game at Kansas, and still seems like we've got a weird NIL situation going on there for UNLV. Their backup quarterback looked good last week, though, no doubt about it. Not like he was going up against the toughest competition. In general, guys, UNLV this season, they've been a bit all over the place. I mean, they put up 72 points in a cupcake win, and yeah, only scoring 23 at Kansas, winning last week 59-14 in a blowout, being really in the eye of the storm there with the whole NIL situation with, with Saluka. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But yeah, I mean, in that week 1 win over Houston, going on the road, they looked very good in that narrow win over Kansas, guys. We saw interesting stuff. They did come away with a 23-20 win. Didn't see anything that crazy from Saluka in that game. I'm not sure why the dude's freaking out, but the defense is what really impressed me there. I mean, they gave up only 153 passing yards. They generated 2 interceptions in that game. They did have a lot of trouble with the run, so that's something to keep an eye on. Syracuse, definitely a team that is capable. I'm not going to say they're like trying to run the ball every single game a whole bunch, but they're definitely a team that's willing to hand it off if that's what the defense is giving them. I mean, they had 125 rushing yards last week, so yeah, we'll see what they can do here against the UNLV rushing attack. But this defense for the Rebels, not terrible, but I wouldn't say that they're necessarily top tier. I mean, they're sitting somewhere around, they're 15th in the nation in points allowed, but when you look at their strength of schedule, I mean, cool, you gave up 7 points against Houston, one of the worst offenses in college football, 14 in a cupcake game, 20 against Kansas, who's a terrible offense, and then 14 against Fresno last week, which is definitely a bit of an impressive performance. But hey guys, I mean, I don't know. I'm not really that blown away by it. We did see Williams look really good out there, taking over the starting role. So we'll see if he can keep that going, but not necessarily a situation that I'm in love with. So let's go ahead and look at some numbers here for this game, guys. We see UNLV, they're 6.5-point favorites in this one. Syracuse are only 1-3 against the spread this season. They are 2-1-1 to the under this year. UNLV, they are undefeated against the spread. They are 4-0 against the spread this season. They're 2-2 over under this year. So no trends there. They've been absolutely cooking, but I do worry a little bit about, how good their backup quarterback is going to look going up against a real opponent here. Syracuse is a solid team on offense. I mean, McCord has been looking like an absolute monster out there. So in terms of the over-under here, guys, I'm definitely seeing this as something of an over spot. If you wanted to take over 58.5, I could get on board with that for sure. But on the side in this game, and I know that's the more exciting play, guys, I'm going to be on the underdog once again. So everybody that's always in the comments saying this dude only takes favorites, I'm taking exclusively underdogs on this entire 4-game slate, guys. I do like the Syracuse Orange at +6.5. Maybe you can get it up at +7. That would be fantastic, but I think they find a way to keep this game close. I mean, honestly, guys, in McCord, we trust. I think he'll find a way here, and if he doesn't throw 2 interceptions, I think there's a great chance that Syracuse could even have a possibility of winning this game down the stretch. So, guys, unfortunately, that's all we've got for this one. Not a very busy day out there. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.